Welcome to One Trinity Place in San Antonio, Texas, as we're here for Game 4 of this NCAA Regional between the Laverne Leos and the Trinity University Tigers. Hello, everybody. I'm Cole Isaacson, joined alongside Luke Terry. And Luke, Laverne had about as good of a day as they could have expected yesterday, winning Games 2 and 3. They set themselves up in Game 4 for a clinching scenario where they can go on to the Super Regional with the win, and they have one of their premier arms back in the fold.
Yeah, this is big time for Laverne. Awesome opportunity for this team in general, but also for Gerald Terry on the mound, a guy that's in his 6th year in this program, a hometown kid from Laverne, California. This is the guy that I think they would want in this situation, without a doubt.
You see the lineup for Trinity on your screen. Leading it off is Caleb Woodward, followed by Jack Baker at short, Nicholas Lazara doing the catching, Christian Holloway, Colt Harris at second, Alex Monson making his first appearance of the series at DH, Kai Tinker at third, Jack Peterson at center field, and Maddox McDonald in the 9-hole and right. And we'll go with Laverne's lineup right now. Benny Vogel leading it off, followed by Ryan Vasika, Matthew Diaz, Logan Reese in cleanup, Noah Garcia, Nathan Perry, Jason Givens in left field, and then the Salcedo brothers to finish it off. I guess the approach for Coach Winterburn, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As that is essentially the same lineup they went with yesterday in Game 3, a game that net them a resounding victory to take a 2-1 series lead. On the mound for Laverne, it will be Gerald Terry. You see his numbers on your screen. All SCIAC pitcher 2 years ago, SCIAC pitcher of the year 2 years ago. 8-2 record this season, 3.32 ERA, 62 and a third innings pitched. You see the strikeout to walk ratio, 68-19. But he's coming off of an injury, missed the SCIAC tournament. That's a big reason why they got knocked out in that tournament. He was unavailable. The start before that only went 2.1 innings before getting knocked out of that game.
Yeah, and there's a lot to talk about with Gerald Terry. You mentioned this injury that he's perhaps been dealing with. Don't have the specifics on that, of course. Also heard yesterday that coming into this weekend, he was dealing with some sort of illness, maybe on top of it. Not sure. Of course, he's on the mound, good to go. The numbers are great, and hopefully they get that version of him as a pitcher. But I'm talking about this before the broadcast, Cole. Yesterday, before Game 3 for Laverne, I saw him putting a little bit of work in the bullpen. Looked like a pretty normal bullpen session. And one thing I noticed, he has a real short arm action. You'll see it. He pulls that arm out. It doesn't even get to that full L that pitchers really like as a power position. It's even shorter than that. I think, clearly it looks real good. Imagine that's probably his usual thing, and it lends to an explanation for those numbers. Shorter arm action, easier to control, but we'll see how it impacts velo for him today.
Woodward grounds this one to second. Salcedo throws to first for a quick out number 1 and a good start for Gerald Terry in his first game back from injury.
Yeah, it's a short action, it's quicker to the plate, and more often than not, I think that just translates to pitches in the zone consistently, and that great strikeout to walk ratio, I think, is evidence of it.
Brings up the shortstop, Jack Baker. Baker started all 4 games in this series, comes into this game hitting .260, 16 RBIs, 25 runs, OPS over 700. Takes the first pitch away. Trinity comes into Game 4 and comes into this Sunday having gotten rocked in their last 2 games. Trying to get off to a better start.
I think it's an all-important first innings for both sides in that regard. For Terry on the mound, talking about it, and we'll talk about it all day. For a guy that's dealing with something, you want to be in this position. Obviously, he had the opportunity to ramp up. It's a comfortable thing for him as an everyday starter for this team. I'm pretty sure he doesn't have an appearance in any other capacity. Good start on the mound is definitely imperative, but for Trinity, who fell behind really quickly in the last 2 games, equally important that they can get something going here, especially that they have the opportunity to hit in the top of the first.
Lost by 9 runs in both Game 2 and 3. Baker ahead 2-1. Takes strike 2. And Luke, it seems like we're seeing that patient approach once again from Trinity. Saw it a lot yesterday, fell into 2 strike holes. Baker was able to get ahead in this at-bat. Now in a 2-2 situation. Line through the gap, and it's a first inning hit for Jack Baker. It took until the 8th inning for Trinity to get their first hit yesterday. They get the first one on the board early.
Yeah, and this is the approach that we talked about. I'll be honest with you, Cole. I feel like maybe I was a little critical of this Trinity offense yesterday, given the aspect of the game where DeMurray on the mound for the Verne Leopards, it was really good, but really put these Trinity hitters in an awkward position. He hit so many batters, and on the other side of it, when he was in the zone, he was up ahead 0-2 almost immediately. That was a real good approach from Jack Baker, got to that 2-strike count. That's the approach or change in approach that has to happen. He was willing to go the other way, and you see him use that gap successfully.
Catcher Nick Lazara up to bat, hitting over 300 this year. He took strike one on that last pitch. Lazara got a game off from catching, caught the second half of the doubleheader. Was a designated hitter in the first game. Pitch gets away, and Baker takes second base, so a runner in scoring position with one out for Trinity.
And about as good a start as you could have asked for. I think back to that game on Friday where Caleb Woodward reached, and Baker moved him over. One out on the board, runner in scoring position. A little different how they got there right now, but it's the same scenario.
Lazara now works with the runner on second in the 1-1 count. Fouled off, 1-2. Got to talk to Coach Winterburn about the no-hitter that was being worked into the 7th inning. He agreed with me. I told him it was the weirdest one I'd seen. He said, yeah, probably one of the most bizarre ones he's seen as well. Says he's normally an impatient man as a head coach, but when you have a guy out there like DeMurray who can get strikeouts in key situations, you give him a longer leash. Pitch misses high, 2-2. And that's exactly what he did. He hit over 5 batters, but leaves them in there and gets the results. No hits allowed in his appearance. Went over 6 innings.
Cole, I know it's still early and I probably shouldn't be distracted, but I have to say I'm a little mesmerized at the moment. Someone just sat down in the crowd, and I don't know if they rocked some red body paint on the front of their body yesterday or they're rocking a real gnarly sunburn at the moment, but the thighs are red. The skies are clear here in San Antonio. They have been across the last 2 days. We talked about the tint yesterday. That guy clearly did not have the advantage of some coverage.
No, it does not look like it. Scorched earth. Lazara drives this one to left field. And the catch is made for out number 2 by Givens.
Yeah, and looks like Terry did a nice job in that at bat. Not the advantage, righty on the mound versus lefty in Lazara, the switch hitter for this Trinity team. But he did a really good job of putting that in on the hands, especially with 2 strikes. Not much Lazara could do. He had to go there, but he was far too late. That one in on his hands. He got jammed a little bit. It was a weak shot out to left field, but the wind is blowing out rather hard. Probably the hardest start in any game we've had so far.
Brings up the cleanup hitter, Christian Holloway. Holloway has the team lead in home runs with 8. Tigers got their first home run of the series. Colt Harris put the first runs on the board of Game 3 for Trinity when the game was already out of hand. It's been Laverne who's been out homering Trinity by quite a bit. Holloway ahead, 1-0. Fouled back into the screen, 1-1.
And a healthy cut on that fastball right there. 1-0 count. I was just anticipating he was going to get something to hit as Terry tried to get back into the count. That one up in the zone just a little bit, and Holloway very, very nearly probably got us going here in this one.
Breaking ball lands, 1-2.
It's a good spot right there for Gerald Terry. 1-1 count. First offering of that kind in this at bat. Holloway sees it once. Now he's going to have to make an adjustment to fight it off or put it in play.
Pitch high, nearly gets away. Good job by Perry to get back on top of that. It holds Baker at second.
But Real good sequencing right now from Terry on the mound. Pretty much everything in this at-bat has been up. Fastball up, that Holloway was just underneath. Then he goes to that breaking ball to set up that fastball. That one wasn't going to come back down into the zone, but luckily for Holloway, he held off.
Misses high, 3-2.
And looked like that one got brought down a little bit. It's still maybe a bit above the zone, certainly on the outer half of the plate. Just missed, but a real competitive pitch. Holloway remaining real patient.
Full count situation, runner on second, 2 down in the inning. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Terry gets out of it. We're scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first. Verne will get their crack at it when we come back. Welcome back. Bottom of the first on the campus of Trinity University, and the Tiger pitcher on the mound is Jackson Tier. Comes in with an 8-1 record, a 1.15 ERA over 70 innings pitched, 102 strikeouts. Gets his second start in the span of 3 days. He fires strike 1 to the leadoff man Vogel. Over 100 strikeouts on the season for Tier. He's only the second Trinity Tiger in 10 years to hit that mark.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal season, and it's a real luxury that Trinity can throw him back out there for a second start in this series. You don't see that very frequently at this point in the year.
Pitch misses low, 2-1. Head coach Tim Scannell saying in his post-game press conference yesterday that they had a feeling that this series was going to go a while. So in game 1, when they have a big lead, they say, hey, we're going to pull Tier early, throw him another game, and that's exactly what's happening now. I don't think Scannell quite imagined that they were going to need him in a Game 4 elimination game, but still able to throw on Sunday like he imagined. 2-2 pitch. Inside, 3-2.
And one thing we talked about in that Game 1 when we were talking about the prospect of him leaving to reappear in this series is that it's very unlikely.
Ground ball. And they get the first out of the inning.
It's very unlikely that a guy makes a start and then the subsequent appearance, we see that on occasion, is a second start in the series. I think even in the SCAC tournament for this Trinity team, it remains the same for Verne in the SCIAC tournament. Nico Ricchetti came back, pitched 2 days later, but in a relief role. And that's really the context in which you see a starting pitcher in a second opportunity in this postseason format. For Tier to have to ramp up twice, that's really my biggest question. How is he going to look after going through that pregame process, which is really the most intensive thing that he did all weekend long?
Now works against Ryan Vasika. He had a 3-hit game yesterday. Now ahead 3-0. I asked here about how he feels about starting 2 games in 3 days. He said he's done it before. Did it last year in the regional against ETBU. Game 1, and then he started game 5. Fires strike 2 to force a full count.
You know, I think there is a pretty big difference, though, in this series where you're facing Laverne a second time. And, of course, there's a chance he faced off against the same team twice last year. I don't remember off the top of my head. Maybe you'd have a little bit better knowledge on that, Cole. But really here the difference is he got the game 1 start against the Laverne team that came into this regional. Now in game 4, these Leopards are really hot at the plate.
Pitch misses away. And Tier allows his first base runner. It's a 6-pitch walk with 1 out. Brings up the number 3 hitter, Matthew Diaz. Diaz went 0 for 4 yesterday in game 3, but drove in 2 runs. Now hitting below that 400 mark he came in with, but 40 RBI on the year. That's the team lead. Take strike 1. You know, Luke, I'm surprised that Diaz didn't square up to bunt there, given what we've seen out of Laverne.
Yeah, especially in a game where they have an opportunity to win it. I feel like they might be pretty conservative and willing to take 1 run at a time.
It's this one, the shallow center. And Baker makes the catch on the Trinity logo for out number 2. What a play by Jack Baker, ranging into the outfield grass.
Yeah, and he makes that one look really easy. That's been the case for Baker pretty much all weekend. There's been problems for this Trinity defense, but he has been quite sure-handed, and they needed it desperately right there. Mentioned it earlier, wind blowing out just a little bit, but for that reason, Jack Peterson playing real deep in center field, well beyond that Tiger logo you can see out there. And he was not going to get to this baseball. It was all on Jack Baker.
Brings up the cleanup hitter, Logan Reese. Takes strike 1 inside. Reese is already homered in this series. One of many impressive stat lines in this series for Laverne hitters. In fact, they were hitting .500 past the 7th inning as a team yesterday.
Yeah, this is one of the most incredible offensive performances that I've seen at this level of baseball, and that's saying something because there are years where individual teams hit over 400 as a squad. I mean, Laverne is humming. They're clicking on all cylinders. Really nothing could go wrong for him yesterday. We talked about it on day 1, kind of the law of averages. Trinity, with that big 18-9 win, we said, figure both of these teams are kind of going to fall back to earth or rise to the level that they've been playing at. I mean, Laverne jumped way over that threshold. Trinity certainly fallen. Again, a new day here in San Antonio. We saw Laverne flush things after day 1, play great on game 2 and 3. Trinity needs to do the same thing.
Pitch finds the zone. It's 2-2. I will say, when I was down on the field before the game, the Tigers seemed loose, seemed to have good energy, not tight at all, given the fact that they're facing elimination and need to win both games today. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. We'll do it again.
And just a weak line drive the opposite direction. Nice job from Reese right there to just fight something off. Feels like the majority of this start, Jackson Tier to this point has tried to really live down in the zone. It's been a theme this weekend. Balls are carrying out.
Pitch rides inside, a full count. Only the 4th batter Tier has faced, but they've made him work. Multiple 3-ball counts already in this inning, and that's not something we usually see from him. Runner goes, and it's fouled off.
And it's a real good fight from Reese at the plate right now. I think the last 2 pitches he's battled off have been breaking balls. One finishing on the outside portion of the plate. He fights it the opposite direction. This one catches a lot more. Hard to get barrel on it, but at least stays alive for another pitch.
Fights it off again and earns another full count at pitch.
So far, a really nice adjustment. Seeing Jackson Tier for a second time, this Laverne Leopard squad is. Now they're remaining patient, battling pitches off, trying to just get something real good to barrel up.
Swing and a miss, that's strike three, the second strikeout of the inning for Jackson Tier. And he leaves the runner stranded. We head to the second on Tiger Network. It's game 4 of the NCAA Regional. Top of the second inning, the number 5 hitter Colt Harris set to lead things off. For game 4, Laverne leads this best of 5 series 2-1. The previous 3 games have gotten out of hand one way or another. Each squad winning their games by 9 runs. Strike 1 from Terry. So Luke, I'm excited game 4. We finally get to see 2 teams in an elimination situation. They're both going to throw their best arms in there, and may the best team win.
And so far, these arms are living up to this billing.
Strike 2.
And I don't know if it's something I just failed to notice in the first inning, but now watching Terry back out there on the mound, it's not only this real short arm action, but there's a little bit of a hitch in his delivery. Pointed out, he's going to bring that leg up, and then this pause right there.
Slow grounder to second. Salcedo makes the play for out number 1.
You know, for a guy that is real quick to the plate with that short arm action, really anything that messes with the hitter's timing, i.e. a hitch like that, can definitely be really, really productive for him. Not sure if it's come into play so far in this one. Colt Harris falling behind in that at-bat 0-2, but a good job being willing to swing it in that situation. Puts another ball in play. It's a problem for Trinity yesterday. Quite a few strikeouts looking.
Number 6 hitter Alex Monson. He's the designated hitter today. Monson's inserted himself into this lineup after not getting much playing time to start the year. Takes a strike. Usually they're left-handed designated hitter, but the first 3 starters for Laverne have all been lefties, so he hasn't gotten any playing time and now finally gets the start against a righty. Monson drives this one to center field, but not far enough. Diaz is there to make the catch for out number 2.
But a real good piece despite the circumstances. 0-2 count again. Credit Gerald Terry in that situation. He's forcing these Trinity hitters to swing the bat. Fortunately for him, probably caught too much of the plate, more than he likely would have wanted to in that situation. Monson just a little late, considering the 0-2 approach, trying to send something the other way. The wind just doesn't help him out right there.
Brings up Kai Tinker, who takes strike 1. His 4th start of this series at third base. He's hit 7 in all 4 games. Fly ball, shallow right. Reese calls and makes the catch. A quick 1-2-3 worked by Terry. We head to the bottom of the second. Still 0-0 in game 4. Bottom of the second in San Antonio, and one of the last guys Trinity wants to see up to the plate now. It's Noah Garcia, the first baseman. 2 home runs, both of them in this series. Takes strike 1 on the inside edge. Hitting over 330 as his average. And he has been on an absolute heater, almost hit for the cycle, and then hit a devastating grand slam in game 2. Squares up to bunt, but drags it foul, 0-2.
And odd for you to say that, and then for him to square around leading off this inning, trying to put one down the line and beat it out in the infield.
Swing and a miss, it gets away. But Lazara throws to first, no problem for out number 1.
But I think that does coincide with what we've heard from Coach Winterburn, trying to build holistic players. So far, Jackson Tier has done a really nice job. Another strikeout right there against probably the hottest bat in this Laverne lineup, and an all-important out number 1 on the board.
Nathan Perry, the catcher, takes strike 1. Had game 3 off. It was Matt Rice behind the dish, but he started the other 2 games. Pitch away, 1-1. Perry, the only change from game 3 in this Laverne lineup. Slow grounder rolling foul, and Tinker will let it.
So far, a quicker inning on the horizon for Jackson Tier. At least that's what it looks like right now. In the first frame, it was a really nice job by Logan Reese. Although he struck out, fought off a bunch of pitches, saw more. Working Jackson Tier is going to be all important for this Laverne team, no matter how many runs they can score.
Pitch gets away from Tier to even the count at 2-2. I asked Tier how many he's got left. I know Coach Scannell said he has a lot of bullets left and they're expecting a Tier-like start, but I decided to ask Tier himself, and he said he wants to throw the whole game. We'll see if that happens, but that's the ambition for number 40. Swing and a miss, strike 3. If he keeps doing that, he might just do it. 3 consecutive strikeouts for Jackson Tier.
Yeah, and arguably didn't look as sharp coming out on the bottom of the first. This is the Jackson Tier version of him that we saw on Friday in the early going of that game. Not falling behind. That's what happened in the bottom of the first. And a couple of at-bats right there where it gets to that 2-strike count, operates very quickly, and makes good use of that breaking ball. Slider has been devastating for hitters all season.
He just has a knack of making good hitters look foolish at times. We saw it against Whitewater, one of the best hitting teams in the country. He struck out 20. Fires strike 1, and if you're Laverne, the last thing you want to see is him getting comfortable, and that seems to be what's happening.
Yeah, this is certainly a team that can disrupt rhythm. I saw No Garcia squaring around. First at-bat of this inning. Givens has shown us a lot of speed over the last 2 days, but he's also shown us the capacity to barrel up baseballs and, spray them all over the outfield. 2 outs on the board, probably exactly what you want to let him do.
The last pitch hit him, but they say he went around 1-2. And strike 3. Tears strikes out the side in the inning as we head to the top of the third. Still 0-0. What shapes up to be a pitcher's duel in Game 4. Top of the third in a windy Alamos City. Game 4 of this Division III Regional. Still 0-0. Terry back on the mound. Peterson in the batter's box. He's the 8-hitter. Getting the start in center field today. Squares up to bunt. Pulls it back. Ball 1. Jack Peterson's reached base a few times this series. Trying to do it in this at-bat. Ahead 1-0. Swings at that, but fouls it out of play dangerously towards the parking lot. And no concerning thud. Every car seems okay. Tapped foul, 1-2.
It feels mechanically like a lot of the same for Jack Peterson at the plate right now. From our vantage point, we're looking right down, kind of back over his left shoulder. Feels like pretty much everything, those hands just leak out away from the body. He's trying to get around everything. That was a pitch up and outside. Just needs to start trying to go the other way with stuff.
Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. And there's 1 down in the inning.
Yeah, been a tough go of it at the plate as of late for Jack Peterson. Realistically, it's been the case for all of this Trinity offense. Black and white difference. In Game 1, where everyone that started walked away with at least 1 hit. Had some pretty tremendous days in that affair.
Pitch away to the 9-hole hitter, Maddox McDonald, who gets the start in right field today. McDonald in his first year with Trinity. Hitting over 300 on the season. Squares up to bunt, pulls it back. Now the count 2-0. Gerald Terry's only allowed 1 hit and he struck out 2, no walks. Good start for the right-hander coming back from injury. Strike called, 2-1.
Yeah, real good spot right there. Outside part of the plate. Maddox McDonald watched it into the glove, kind of nodded his head, understanding that it's a good call, but not where he wanted to see it. Hunting really for something right down the middle in that 2-0 spot.
Fouled back, 2-2.
And that's the adjustment that has had to be made by these Trinity hitters. We just haven't seen it happen very frequently. Real patient approach, willing to take that strike one. But once a pitcher has strike one on you, he's probably not going to give you a fastball in the zone again. If you see that breaking ball like Maddox McDonald just did, though, for a prospective strike two, got to be willing to swing it.
Swings the bat there, but it doesn't go his way. Back-to-back strikeouts for Gerald Terry, 2 away in this inning.
Still not the results that Trinity is looking for and will need today, but overall a better start from an approach perspective. It's one time through the order now as the leadoff hitter steps back up to the plate, and we'll see what differences we see in the second time through.
Order flips over, Caleb Woodward up. Takes strike one. Woodward with the 3-hit day in game one. Took a seat game two, though. Back for game three. It didn't really help the Tigers and the scoreboard. Ball high. A 3-hit game for Woodward coming in game one. That was his first career postseason start collegiately. So what a way to start his Trinity postseason career. Fouled back, 1-2.
Yeah, healthy cut right there on what looked to be another breaking ball. It's what started this at-bat off. Nice delivery from Gerald Terry. 0-0 count, just a breaking ball, get me over pitch, trying to give Woodward a different look in his second at-bat.
Good take from Woodward, 2-2.
A pretty stark contrast between these two deliveries right now. He's firing that fastball in there, really good velocity on it, but he certainly seems to be taking something off of that breaking ball.
Close pitch just inside. And Woodward works the count full.
And a couple of really good takes right there from Caleb Woodward. Puts himself in a position right here where now Gerald Terry is going to have to throw something in the zone.
Does so, but it's fouled off. Still 3-2.
I don't know, Cole. Outside of the Jack Baker single through the right side, I have to say this is probably the best at-bat that we've seen out of a Trinity hitter in this game, and arguably one of the best at-bats that we've seen in the last three contests.
Woodward still battling, 3-2 with 2 down in the inning. Soft grounder to second. Salcedo makes the throw in time, barely, for out number 3. We'll see if Trinity has any objection to that. And as far as we can tell, they do not. Gets him by half a step, and it ends the frame. We head to the bottom of the third, still 0-0. Bottom of the third in San Antonio. Still no runs on the board for either side. Jackson Tier back on the mound. So far, Tier a good start. No runs allowed through 2. We'll try and keep that going. Pitch outside 1-1 to Aiden Salcedo. Salcedo, a sophomore from Murrieta, California, hitting ahead of his brother today. Inside edge, strike called, 1-2. Luke, I think it's important to note that your person with the sunburn on the legs has covered up his legs with some sort of shirt.
Yeah, and that's a real high IQ play. It's going to be a necessity today. I don't know. Still 0-0 ball game. The way this series has gone, I would anticipate we see a lot more baseball today. Take the necessary precautions. Good adjustment. Adjustments being made everywhere. And you like to see it.
Yeah, no more sun for him. I admire the boldness of not even sitting in the shade of the tree. He's still in direct sunlight. I would not be if I were in his position. Or I'd be watching on the Tiger Network like all of you.
I don't know, call it youthful arrogance if you must.
Grounder to Tinker. Throw across the diamond in time, out number 1.
Better at bat right there, however, for Laverne. Another ball batted in play after, I believe we saw the side struck out last time against Jackson Tier. Breaking ball right here that in a 2-strike count catches, again, probably more plate than Tier would like, but with as much movement as you see on your screens as home, it's real difficult to put a barrel on it and find a hole.
The ground out breaks up 4 consecutive strikeouts from Jackson Tier. Now he works against the older Salcedo brother, Anthony. Strike 2.
Realistically, that's what it comes down to. Both of these teams just need to put the ball in play, give themselves a chance against these opposing pitchers. 4 straight strikeouts doesn't do that clearly for the Leos, but on the other side, Trinity, who has done a nice job, several batted balls that have resulted in outs for them so far. I think the story changes for them a little bit, trying to just get the ball on the ground, give themselves a chance, especially considering how good Laverne has been defensively, especially in the outfield.
Grounded at first, Holloway takes the trip himself, and there's quickly 2 gone.
You know, one thing that I've noticed, it's been full effort from all of these Laverne hitters in a base running capacity all weekend long. There was a ball that I think it was a pop-up, maybe stayed on the infield. It was a sure-handed catch that whoever it was ran it out hard. We've seen guys dive into the bag. I think just funny that we see the same thing right there.
Line to left, and the catch is made by Woodward to end the inning. A quick 1-pitch at bat worked by Jackson Tier. He goes 1-2-3 through the Laverne order as we take it to the 4th. Welcome back to the top of the fourth in the Alamo City. Jack Baker leads things off. He's the only Tiger with a hit so far today, and he'll try and get another to start the fourth. Works against Gerald Terry, who's in his fourth inning of work, and he's been very impressive facing the first 10 batters he's faced. Allowed one hit to Jack Baker, and that's it. Also 4 strikeouts and no walks so far in his outing. He's been very impressive coming off of an injury. Strike one.
I think he's doing a really phenomenal job of mixing his pitches. I think it's just 2 deliveries that we've seen, and of course we don't have as much familiarity with this Verne team and with Gerald Terry in particular. But you could, of course, sum that up to the fact that he's coming off an injury, trying to simplify things for himself. Or maybe it is just that he likes to rely on these 2 pitches because he thinks they're efficient and they get the job done. Clearly they have so far.
Baker in a 2-1 count. Makes it 3-1, ball high. Ball high, and he loses him. A leadoff walk, the first one allowed by Terry.
2 at-bats for Jack Baker, and 2 times reaching now. Exactly what you want to see if you're Trinity offensively trying to get something going. Leadoff base runner for the first time. And we'll see if it provides any dividends. Talked about moving guys over previously. Usually not something that they ask Lazara to do, considering how much of a threat he is at the plate.
Saw the average on your screen, hitting 359. That's a team high. Takes a low strike there. Lazara knocked in the first hit of the day for Trinity yesterday. Came in the 8th inning. Plenty of opportunities for the Tigers to come back in Game 3, despite the 6-0 scoreline early. Bases loaded multiple times, left him stranded. Swing and miss from Lazara. Baker goes, and the throw is offline. A stolen base for Jack Baker.
And a real nice pitch to throw on right here if you're Nathan Perry behind the plate. Fastball up and away, pulls him out of his stance just a little bit, and on the opposite part of the plate creates this running lane. Lazara does everything he can, swinging through that one, trying to give Baker maybe an extra hair.
Lazara in an 0-2 count. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts from Nick Lazara, 1 down in the inning.
And Lazara walks back to the dugout. Catcher for this Trinity squad with his right hand, holding his bat in the other. Signals something with that offhand. Might have been just designating a pitch. Looked like a real big difference and dip in velocity right there as he was way out ahead of something.
Holloway sprays that foul, 0-1.
Not sure if he was indicating one of the breaking balls out of the hand of Gerald Terry, or if maybe he was signaling to that dugout that there's a changeup being thrown into the mix.
We'll see if Holloway got the message. Runner on second, only 1 out. Hit a long way, but foul into the Verne bullpen.
This is exactly what Gerald Terry wants right now. Strikeout of Lazara with a runner in scoring position, now ahead on Christian Holloway. 0-2. Strikeout would be big here with still just 1 out on the board.
Pitch away, 1-2. Baker running is one thing that we haven't seen too much in this series, at least. It's been 3 consecutive lefties starting for Verne. It's limited Trinity's capacity to run on the bases. Now you have the righty. Sends them almost immediately, and it's 1-2 to Holloway with the runner on second. Ball away, and it's 2-2.
Of course, we feel as if in this game, runs are probably going to be at a little bit more of a premium with Tier and Terry on the mound, but also considering the elimination status for Trinity specifically, no doubt that they want to be aggressive, trying to get the first run of the ball game and grab an early lead.
Full count.
Good job by Holloway remaining patient in this at-bat. It's a couple of pitches that Gerald Terry has wasted. That one right there, not particularly close. Maybe an even better job, however, by Nathan Perry behind the plate. He's keeping those in front of him, keeping Baker at second.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ball gets away, they throw to first. And there's 2 down, back-to-back strikeouts for Terry.
And a 3-2 count. Christian Holloway worked to get it there and then maybe got a little bit jumpy at the plate, anticipating something a little more competitive. That one, a real nice offering, looked like a breaking ball down and away. Movement carried it even further away from the bat of Holloway, who must have not seen the spin out of the hand.
Brings up Colt Harris. 0 for 1 with a ground out to his counterpart at second. Takes ball 1 on a pitch away. Trinity trying not to leave Baker stranded for a second consecutive time. Was able to work his way to second base. Harris is going to have to do the rest. Ball high, 2-0.
And in great position. Hitters count right here for Colt Harris. For Harris, really the mindset is narrow to one pitch and one location. It's fastball, middle, or breaking ball, middle. Be on time.
Ahead of it, and it's 2-1.
I think that's the risk right there. Looked like a breaking ball, a little velo taken off of it. And he got the spot he wanted just too early.
Swing and a miss, 2-2.
Again, great sequencing from Terry on the mound. He just continues to rock, even with a runner in scoring position. He feels unfazed at the moment. Goes to the breaking ball. Way ahead of it was Colt Harris. A little brave, speeding him up, but is able to blow that fastball right past him.
Pitch away, another full count. They might only have 2 hits on the day, but at the very least, you have to like Trinity's at-bats a lot better.
They've worked these counts, and they've certainly changed their approach. Another 2-strike count here. It's full. They'll have to be real selective, but also willing to go the other way with things in the zone.
3-2 pitch. Driven to right, but playable for Reese. He makes the catch, and it ends the inning. Terry gets out of the jam, out of the leadoff single, and it's still 0-0 as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Game 4 between Trinity and Verne. Bottom of the fourth in San Antonio. Jackson Tier back on the mound once again. He's worked scoreless 3 innings so far. Trying to do the same in the fourth. He'll face Ryan Vasica, the shortstop, who leads this one off. Pitch away, 1-1. Luke, we've mentioned it. It's Tier's second start in 3 days. What do you make of it so far?
You know, I think, like we talked about earlier, the big question was how was a ramping up for a start going to impact him for a second time in the past 3 days? And he came out and wasn't quite as sharp. You know, it could be for a variety of reasons, of course. But you imagine maybe ramping up a second time has something to do with it. But he's settled in very nicely. He's in control of all of his pitches. He's been better across the last 2 frames, not getting to 3 ball counts.
Ground ball to Harris. And quickly 1 down in the inning.
More than anything, the slider looks like the pitch that makes him look like one of the best pitchers in the country.
Brings up the number 3 hitter, Matthew Diaz. Diaz hitting .390 now. 0 for his last 6 at the plate, but that's not necessarily something he's worried about, as multiple RBI in that span. And I have to talk to Coach Winterburn about that. I said that was the thing that stuck out to me the most about their offensive performance yesterday, that one of your best offensive players is completely fine going 0 for 4 as long as he's driving in runs. And he said, yeah, goes back to what he told you about developing complete offensive players. And when you have a senior like him buying in, the young guys follow right behind. Just sets a great example for the rest of the team.
Right now, they could certainly use his bat. Trying to get something going in this elimination game that they have created for Trinity. They were electric in the last 2 days.
Swing and a miss. At strike 3, another strikeout for Jackson Tier as he's settled into this 4th inning. 2 down.
And so far, from a pitching perspective, it feels like Trinity flushed yesterday. It was a great day for Verne at the plate. Jackson Tier, good as advertised so far. He's held up his end of the bargain. Both of these pitchers have. Terry has been equally as impressive on the other side. Both of these offenses leaving a little bit to be desired, though. Really no threat so far in this game on either side.
Only 1 combined hit between these 2 teams after we saw 37 in game 1 and quite a bit yesterday between the 2 games. Strike called. It's 2-1 to Logan Reese. Saw his numbers on your screen, hitting .370, OPS over 1,000. Strike 2.
Yeah, and real important for Tier to get those 2 offerings back-to-back, put in the strike zone, falling behind 2-0 against a very dangerous hitter in Reese.
Thought about it, but doesn't go. Works the count full.
And interesting, kind of right in the middle of that delivery or offering, maybe right before it. Looked like Logan Reese took half a step forward in the box to get closer to the pitcher.
Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. 6 strikeouts through 4 frames for Jackson Tier as he works a scoreless 4th inning. We head to the top of the 5th in Alamo City. 0-0. Trinity Verne, game 4. Top of the 5th in San Antonio. Gerald Terry back on the mound. Both pitchers coming in with questions about how long they would go, how many bullets they had left, and it seems like both of them are going to work a full starter's load. Alex Monson leads off this inning. Hitting .298 on the year, 19 RBI. Take strike one. The 0-1. In the dirt, 1-1.
Yeah, and it was a real long delay ahead of that pitch. Monson opting not to take time and step out of the box. It seems consistent with him. He's a guy that likes to stand in there. He's ready to hit. Terry certainly seemed to be trying to get on the same page as Nathan Perry behind the plate.
Outside edge, strike two.
Those 3 consecutive breaking balls right there. One of them spiked in the dirt in on the feet of Monson.
Lined right to short, takes a deflection, throw not in time, he beats it out. Tough to tell what that'll be scored as. It was a scorcher off the bat of Monson.
And you got to credit Vasica out there at shortstop. This is a missile off the bat, and with this turf, it's going to take a long hop. He does everything he can by putting his body in front of this one. You'll see on the replay, Monson barely getting there. Foot down clearly just before the ball is in the glove of Garcia. It's a good job by Monson, who doesn't run great when you look at the context of this Trinity team, but he recognized the scenario, really busted his butt. He got down there, he was fired up, and he let the dugout know it.
Tinker squares up to bunt, pulls it back. They have credited Vasica with an error at short. So still only one combined hit between these two teams. We're almost halfway through this one. Either way, Monson waits on first, nobody out. Tinker pulls that back, 2-0. Tinker's 0 for 1 today, flew out to right.
I know there's some shouts coming from that Verne dugout. 2 pitches, 2 balls, not what you want to see with a guy at the plate squaring around a bunt. It's effectively giving you an out, and you really want to play to that. Allow him to, or force him really to put the ball down on the ground.
Ball high, 3-0. In danger of allowing back-to-back Tigers to reach.
You know, he squared around on that last offering, pulling it back. Expect the same thing here. Don't give away an out in a 3-0 count. Force him to throw a strike, but maybe again give him a different look by squaring.
Squares up to bunt again, pulls it back, strike one.
Now we'll see if they opt to put one down or run the risk of allowing Gerald Terry to find the strike zone again. Tinker, those first 2 pitches, did a nice job of pulling it back when it wasn't in the zone. He's going to have to do the same thing here if that's the case.
Squares up to bunt, pulls it back for ball 4. Back-to-back base runners allowed by Gerald Terry, and there's 2 aboard with nobody out.
And now I really would anticipate a bunt getting down right here. Peterson, who struck out in his last time at the dish, is a guy that has tremendous speed, has struggled to put the ball in play. Realistically, it's a big spot to deliver, even if it is an out. Running or advancing those runners an extra 90 feet is really imperative for Trinity right here.
Head coach Scott Winterburn coming out. This appears to be a chat and not a change. Don't see anybody from the right field bullpen from our perspective, though that's hard to tell sometimes. And he will leave his starter on the mound to face Jack Peterson. Peterson 0 for 1 has already struck out today, but works with runners on first and second. Luke, we know he can be quite the weapon in this situation. Bunt hits are a norm for him.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really difficult thing. I think 0-0, you have the opportunity to drag something with the speed he has. I would anticipate that that's what we see. Still important to put it down on the ground. Don't want to risk a ball in the air. We've already seen Trinity fall victim to that once this weekend.
Squared up to bunt, but he pulled it back, ball one.
And he did so fairly early right there, and I think that's just the more conservative approach. Don't worry about that drag. The goal isn't to get you on base. That would be an added bonus, but the real importance right here is moving Monson and Tinker up that 90 feet.
Ball two.
Of course, a similar situation that we just saw Kai Tinker in. If he's not going to throw you a strike, then don't worry about it.
Monson aboard at second base. He reached by way of the air. Tinker walked. He's at first. Still nobody out. Peterson fouls that back into the screen. He pulled the bunt back.
Yeah, pretty intrigued to see him cutting on that one. 2-0 count in a situation where previously you really only assumed he was going to be bunting the baseball. Maybe this Trinity coaching staff signaling something in, anticipating that Terry really has to put something in the strike zone right there and anticipate fastball middle. Looks like that's what Peterson got, and again, he just missed.
Pulls back the bunt, inside edge, strike two, and now we'll see if bunting is still in the question. Verne has shown no issues with bunting with 2 strikes.
Yeah, and you would imagine this is a team that works it quite a bit, really hammers that home. Does his coaching staff have the same faith in their senior Peterson at the plate?
Not squaring up yet. And takes strike 3, goes down looking. First out of the inning for Gerald Terry.
And that's just about the worst possible end result for this Trinity team. Goes ahead in 2-0 count, where at the outset it looked like he was going to try and move runners over with a bunt. Instead, can't get anything down. Switches in the middle of the at-bat to swinging away. And to finally just go down looking is a really tough result.
Maddox McDonald, the 9-hole hitter, takes ball 1. McDonald struck out the last time he was up. Runners on first and second, 1 out after the Peterson strikeout. Big opportunity for Trinity to strike first in this game. Strike called, outside edge.
Again, McDonald really staring right down, or he thinks that one came across the plate, giving a little bit of a nod. I know Jack Peterson, after that last at-bat, was not happy with that strike 3 called looking. There's been some displeasure with the home plate umpire in this series, in particular in yesterday's affair.
Up and in, it's 2-1.
Of course, head coach for Trinity, Tim Scannell, being ejected in game 1. There was also a warning issued to the Verne dugout in game 2, I believe it was. So far, things have been fairly consistent. I think that was the case yesterday as well.
Strike down the chute, 2-2. Trinity had so many opportunities in game 3 of yesterday's game to get back into it. 2 different bases loaded situations where they left everybody stranded. Already left a runner on second today. Pitch away, 3-2.
McDonald remaining very patient. Hasn't swung the bat in the last several offerings.
6th pitch of the at-bat and a full count. Grounded, could be 2. Throw to first, and it is. They get out of it. The double play they needed ends the inning. We're heading to the top of the 5th, nearly halfway through this one in San Antonio. Bottom of the fifth in San Antonio. Laverne all set to bat in a 0-0 game. Halfway through this one, Garcia waves at that first pitch. Swing and a miss for strike one. Still only one combined hit between these two teams. Tigers had runners on first and second. Nobody out. Couldn't do anything with it. And once again, you think it's up to Jackson Tier to settle things back down.
Yeah, and who would have anticipated this game, Cole? So far, 3 high-scoring affairs here in San Antonio. I mean, from day 1 to day 2, the script got flipped with Trinity having success and then Laverne turning around and putting up runs all over the place. Now it's just a different baseball philosophy in general. One run might be good enough based on the output from these two pitchers.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3 from Tier, his 7th strikeout of the game through 5. And there's one down in the inning.
Yeah, and I think he certainly got helped out right there. Noah Garcia, recognizing the current state of this ball game, stepped up to the plate, trying to start this inning by jumping over a mistake pitch, a get-me-over pitch, but that's not what Jackson Tier went with. He went with his safe pitch, but it's that breaking ball that you see bending in there yet again for strike one.
That's exactly how he described his slider at the beginning of the year. His safe pitch, his go-to. Says even if somebody can touch it, all they're going to get is weak contact. And hit up the middle. First hit for Laverne comes in the 5th inning.
And nothing weak about that one. Hot shot right back up the middle. Tier ducks out of the way just a little bit. He's limited that today. There was a hot shot off the bat of Benny Vogel. Unfortunately, wound up as the 3rd out by way of Caleb Woodward in left field. It's the best contact we've seen since then. Some of the only contact we've seen since then.
That was Nathan Perry with the base hit, and it sets up Givens. Strike called. He's actually the first base runner that Tier has had to contend with to this point. Strike 2.
With one out on the board, not too surprised that Givens hasn't squared around to bunt in this at bat. Of course, with 2 strikes, we've seen a willingness to let them bunt. And I think you trust Givens to do so right here.
In the dirt, 1 and 2.
I think it's just important to note, considering the fact that it's Nathan Perry over there at first base, who just came away with that first hit of the day. Catcher, and uncertain about his speed on the base paths.
Ground ball, slow. Tier covering to the bag, not in time. Another diving play at first base from Laverne. This time it works out. First and second, nobody out.
Yeah, and this one is just a little bit of a miscommunication, a fumble between Holloway and Tier right there. Just tough PFP. Holloway gets this one pretty quickly. I think the mistake that's made is he goes with the overhand toss before Tier is really in the vicinity of the bag. I think you wait a half second longer. Tier gets close to the bag. He knows where it is and can step on it more easily. I think Givens might have been in there safe with the slide anyway, but an issue that Tier missed the bag outright when he put his foot down.
They try the pickoff play at second. Runner safe there. First pitch, ball 1 high to Aiden Salcedo. Should correct that there is 1 out in the inning. Noah Garcia striking out to begin the frame. Pitch away, 2-0. The first signs of trouble we've seen from Jackson Tier. Behind 2-0 in a situation where if you walk the batter, it loads the bases.
And with no one over there at third at the moment, this is when you want to attack. Let the defense play behind you. Use that slider.
Attempted bunt.
So you talked about the weak contact that it induces. give these infielders an opportunity to field it, maybe give themselves a chance at a double play. Worst case, that soft contact, they're likely getting there and at least getting the ball over to first for 1 out to put 2 on the board.
Tier will take another second. And they're going to have a visit. The whole infield and pitching coach Dave Smith coming out. Nobody warming in the pen, so this seems like it's just a chat.
I think like we just talked about, 0-0 ball game with 2 guys that are dealing. And recognize the significance of this. First time that Verne has had a runner in scoring position less than 2 outs. Recognizing very, very imperative to keep him off the board.
Long conversation. The first triple Tiers had in this series. Pitched 3 innings in his start in game 1. Only allowed 2 hits in the entirety of that outing. Verne wound up with 17, so 15 against the likes of Zach Balbin and Michael Boki, who came in relief. Count still 2-1, 1 out. Runners on first and second. This battle between number 1 pitchers on both sides, Jackson Tier and Gerald Terry. Inside, 3-1.
Some shouts from that Trinity dugout. Great spot. They're happy with that location. Jackson Tier shakes his head on the mound a little bit. I don't know if he doesn't like the spot or if he doesn't like the fact that he didn't call.
Gets the call there, 3-2. Tigers had this same situation, couldn't capitalize. Let's see what Verne can do. 3-2 pitch for Salcedo. Lined off the glove, could still be 2. Throw to first, in time, and it is. Takes a deflection off Tier's glove, but Jack Baker makes it happen anyways.
And you have to wonder, given this deflection, how hard it was hit off the bat. You see it. This one puts it right into the path of Jack Baker. Otherwise, this ball might split those middle infielders. A good chance he gets through. There's a good chance that they don't turn 2. That's a huge play all the way around. Jackson Tier steers this one in the right direction, quite literally.
Baker able to get them out of the inning thanks to the lucky deflection from Tier. We head to the 6th in San Antonio, still 0-0. Top 6 in San Antonio. Gerald Terry back on the mound to face Caleb Woodward. Now the 3rd time through the order. Woodward's grounded out to second both times he's been up. He takes strike 1. And Luke, you want to talk about momentum. That was quite the bounce that Trinity got to end the last frame.
Yeah, and it was a bounce that Trinity certainly seemed to need in that spot. Stranded a couple runners in the top half of the inning. That's deflating. Feels like it's been deflating previously in this series.
Grounded to first. And a quick trip for Garcia for out number 1.
That's 3 at-bats for Caleb Woodward so far today, and 3 times that he's grounded out to the right side. Just topping off on the baseball. Talked about it earlier. This is effectively what Trinity wants to try and do. Put the ball on the ground, give themselves a chance to watch it split a gap. For Caleb Woodward, that just hasn't been the case.
Brings up Jack Baker. He's 1 for 1 today. As the only hit for Trinity on the game. Also reached on an error. They check him, and he went around. Some grumbling from the Trinity faithful behind home plate, and it's 0-2.
And we'll see this angle real close. Looks like that barrel certainly goes across the plate. Talked about it yesterday on a check down that was called a strike. You can tell, even though we're offset behind the batter, usually when it is or is not a bat or a barrel that's broken the plane, even from behind that one, it looked like that was the good call.
Now in a 1-2 count. Two and two. Looks like they have taken a hit off the board for Verne. Was 2 hits, now the scoreboard says 1. Not so sure where that hit went. Hard grounder to short. And the play made, 2 down.
Yeah, it looks like there's at least a 1 under both error columns for both Trinity and Verne. My assumption is that SIDs here at Trinity had a conversation about that ball batted, fielded by Christian Holloway, tossed to Jackson Tier where they missed the bag. More than likely that one is revised and called an error. I think if that one goes smooth, it should have been an out, but there were a lot of moving parts, and you know, at first, considering how quickly Givens got to the bag, I don't hate the call of giving him that base hit.
Think it could go either way. They decide to give an error on the play, so only 1 hit per side now. Nick Lazera up with 2 down. Nobody on. Grounded to third, takes a bad hop. Throw to first, not in time. And an error will plate Lazera.
Not the end result that Nick Lazara would have hoped for in regards to his final line score on the day. He's not going to walk away with a base hit. It's Aiden Salcedo playing third base. He had to range over on a ball that, I know, does take a funny hop. Most of the hops here in San Antonio have been pretty solid on this turf, as you would likely anticipate. That one kind of just rolls up on him as it gets to his glove. He does everything he can, maybe forces this throw just a little bit. It was a good job on the back end by Noah Garcia coming off the bag, making sure this one doesn't leak into a dugout and put Lazaro on second base.
Christian Holloway up to the plate. OPS over 900 on the season. He struck out twice today. Tigers given another chance. The second error by Verne on the day. Soft throw to first. Lazera back in plenty of time.
And Cole now the third time through the order. One of the biggest changes that I noted from Gerald Terry on the mound, felt like the second time through, he really tried to lead with that breaking ball. I would say at least 7 hitters in their second plate appearance saw that pitch over for strike 1. It's largely continued here. It looked like Holloway got it down and out of the zone. But if this continues, the Trinity hitters have to be cognizant of the fact that they're getting that breaking ball. They can start to expect it, sit back, and try and pull something.
Holloway ahead 2-0. Strike 1. And that looked like exactly what you said, Luke.
More or less, it feels like they've sat on the fastball all day long. They've remained patient, certainly, and they've been willing to swing it once they have one strike on them, and certainly once they've gotten to 2 strikes, they've tried to protect. But it's always about taking things one step further, never being satisfied. It's really the nature of this game, right? Even as a 300 hitter, you want to be swinging the bat better. Every single at bat requires an adjustment. Things are almost never perfect for you.
Holloway to right, and the catch made by Reese. Down to 1 knee to end the inning. We head to the bottom of the 6th, still 0-0, a pitcher's duel in San Antonio. Game 4 of this regional. Welcome back. Bottom of the 6th in San Antonio. Both starting pitchers working into their 6th inning. Jackson Tier back out there. Fires in strike 1 to Anthony Salcedo. Tier still in the 2nd time through the order. Salcedo, in his only trip to the plate, grounded out to first. Pitch away, 1-1.
Good spot right there after Salcedo more or less has the bat taken out of his hands in that squaring around. It wasn't a slash. He wasn't going to try and swing it. That second offering just off the plate. It's a good competitive spot in a situation where you assume he might have his hands forced a little bit and trying to protect. But no, real good eye, especially from your 9-hole hitter. Opportunity here for Verne to turn things over for the top of their order.
Grounded right to Tier. Quick flip and the first out of the inning.
But that will not be the case. It's likely the end result you expect when Jackson Tier gets into these 0-2, 1-2 counts. Salcedo did ultimately have his hands forced a little bit right there. Good job by putting that one in play. Unfortunately for him, soft contact right at Tier, who bounces off the mound and fields his position very cleanly this time around.
Benny Vogel, the leadoff hitter, 0 for 2 today. Grounded out to second and lined out to Woodward in left field. Line to right, and it's a base hit. Vogel's first of the day, the second for Verne. A 1-out knock.
And this is just a great piece of hitting by Benny Vogel right here. Second time that he's smoked the ball into the outfield. This one a little bit more favorable on the trajectory. You can see him kind of top off on this baseball. It's good enough to get over Colt Harris at second base, but with that backspin, or that topspin, I should say, it deposits it right in front of Maddox McDonald. No chance at catching that one in the air. Fortunately for Trinity, it was pretty much right on line with the outfielder, not splitting a gap, and it limits Verne to just a single bag right there.
Ryan Vasika, the number 2 hitter, takes a strike on that inside corner. Working with the runner on first base, only 1 out. Strike 2. Only three total hits in this game. And 3 errors to match it.
He's just doing a really nice job of filling up the strike zone very consistently at this point in time. Another at-bat right here where he gets ahead 1-2. He buries that one in the dirt. He can afford to do so given the count and given the fact that he has Nick Lazara back there. Lazara doing a nice job today. Nice job right there keeping that one in front.
Throw to first, not in time there. Now a 2-2 count. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. 8 strikeouts on the day for Jackson Tier. And there's 2 away.
And a big outcome in that at-bat. Again, great sequencing. Gets to a 2-strike count. He wastes 1 pitch in the process. Comes right back with that slider. So difficult for these hitters to lay off of. Cognizant they need to protect in these 2-strike counts. Man, it has such nasty movement on it. Takes it right off the plate, just out of reach of the bat.
Big swing and a miss from Matthew Diaz. 0 for 2 today. He's flown out to center and he struck out.
And you talk about inducing weak contact. Really the only way you put it in play is if your hands leak all the way out and that barrel is essentially as far away from your body as possible.
Check swing. Lazara wants the call, but didn't go around, and that looks like the right call from here. Now on a 1-1 count. In the dirt, good block by Lazara. He's been good behind the dish this series.
Yeah, and especially in this inning, the last 2 at-bats, Jackson Tier operating with a runner over there at first, and Vogel has not shied away from throwing the ball in the dirt. Lazara has held up his end of the deal as well.
Close pitch, call not given. Must have been just low, and it's 3-1.
That's a great spot, especially considering how many swing and misses that pitch has induced. Really good eye from Vogel.
Strike called, 3-2.
And looks like Vogel was about ready to walk down to first. He was trying to skip out of the box, maybe convince the home plate umpire that that one was low, but home plate umpire saw that one through all the way.
Diaz ahead of that one, fouls it off into the Tiger dugout. Runner is on the move. He has to go back to first. Tier trying to work another clean inning. Finds himself in a 0-0 ball game. Way inside, and it gets him. Acts as ball 4 anyways, and it sends Diaz to first, 2 aboard with 2 down.
I think one of the first walks that we've seen Jackson Tier issue all day long, if not the very first. Another 3-2 count. We've seen him get into a couple of those so far, but more often than not, he's been able to prevail.
First pitch to Logan Reese, just outside. Reese has struck out the last 2 times he's seen Tier, but he's been one of the most dangerous hitters for Verne all year, and particularly in this series. Rides inside, 2-0.
You know, this is probably the point in the game where you start to question a guy in Jackson Tier who got a start, has ramped up twice this weekend, now into a 6th inning of work. Talked about the fact that he would like to go deep into this one. He's already gone fairly far.
Strike on the inside edge, 2-1. There is some movement in the bullpen. Nobody throwing quite yet.
Can he stay sharp right here? 2 outs on the board. But now a little bit more traffic again.
Grounded. Baker goes the short way, and it ends the inning. Tier gets out of another jam. We're through 6 in San Antonio, scoreless in this regional. Welcome back to the top of the 7th inning in San Antonio, and it's been so great to get to know Verne and their team, particularly head coach Scott Winterburn. He's been so great at talking to both of us, answering all of our questions. But one thing he's been understandably but particularly cagey about was the availability of Gerald Terry. All he would say is that he is available, and judging by the fact that he's going into his 7th inning of work, I would say that that proved to be quite true.
Yeah, and I think it is dependent on the version that you get out there on the mound. So far, they've gotten probably the best possible version of Gerald Terry. He's been phenomenal. Doesn't look like he's had any issue at all here in San Antonio.
Faces Colt Harris for the 3rd time today. Harris is grounded out and flown out. Lifts this one into foul ground, no play.
And looked like a couple of breaking balls to start this at-bat off. Harris, much like offense in the last half inning for Trinity, squaring around on offering number 1, trying to give Gerald Terry a different look, but 35 on the mound remains unfazed.
0-2 pitch. High 1-2. Driven to left field. It finds the gap on the warning track. Harris digs in for second base. He's there easy. It's a lead-off double for Trinity. Only their 2nd hit of the game.
And that is exactly what Trinity has been waiting for. Let's see a replay of it right here. 2-strike count. It looks like just a fastball. It doesn't get any run away from the righty and Colt Harris. That one stays right over the middle of the plate. Drives it to the deepest part of the ballpark. It was a big day for him yesterday, probably bigger than anyone else on this offense, given the fact that he's the only Tiger in this Trinity order that has left the ballpark so far. Very nearly put run number 1 on the board right there.
Head coach Tim Scannell came out of the dugout to have a quick chat with Alex Monson, who's up next to bat. Well, Luke, they got him on. Now the hard part is bringing them in. Trinity trying to take their first lead since they were up 1-0 in game 2.
You know, runs are at a premium. Even though there's no outs and you already have a guy in scoring position, the way that they put the ball in play today, advancing them the extra 90 feet might be part of the approach.
Ground ball, third base side, quick throw, and a 1-pitch at bat for Monson.
You know, I really anticipated, considering a conversation with head coach Tim Scannell before he stepped to the plate, you might be just giving him an extra 90 feet right here. Sac fly would score him at this point. Instead, Monson swinging away, trying to find a hole in the opposite side. It's just one of those spots where you don't want to go the opposite direction. He pulls this ball towards first and second. there's a good chance that Colt Harris is able to advance those extra 90 feet.
Brings up Kai Tinker, who looked like Alex Monson was encouraging on his way back to the dugout. Tinker grounds that to short. Throw in time, so 2 pitches, 2 outs, but they do move Harris this time, runner on third.
Now that runner is on third, as you mentioned, Cole, but with 2 outs, it's a totally different scenario. Need a hit right here for this inning to continue and for Trinity to likely score run number 1 of this ball game. It's Jack Peterson up to the plate. He's had a rough one today.
He struggled lately, struck out in his only 2 at-bats today, 0 for 2. Works in a big situation. Top of the 7th. The run to give them the lead on third. Peterson hits this one to right field, and the catch is made. 3 pitches, 3 outs to end the inning after the Harris double. A quick one worked by Gerald Terry as we head to the middle of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th, 0-0 between Trinity and Verne. Noah Garcia leads off this inning against Jackson Tier, who's back out there. And once again, he has to squash some bad momentum for Trinity. Fires strike 1 to Garcia. Double all the way to the warning track, and then 3 pitches later, the inning is over. Not exactly what the Tigers were hoping for with a runner on second, a 0-0 ball game.
That's a tough spot. Trinity continuing to strand runners here in this one. It's a threat now with a guy that could break this game open with 1 swing of the bat. Jackson Tier has made everyone's job in this Laverne offense very, very difficult today, and it continues here as Garcia moves to now a 1-2 count.
Stays alive with the foul ball. Garcia's had already 2 home runs in this series. We've noted that Laverne, not usually a home run hitting offense, only 11 homers coming into this regional. Grounder to second, Harris makes the play, 1 down. Good play by Colt Harris at second base.
That's a good one from Harris out there, playing more or less in traditional territory, not very far up the middle of double play depth. A hard hit ball off the bat of Garcia, who sends it to his pull side. So Colt Harris has to get there in a hurry, field it cleanly, which is a difficult job, and then throw back against his body.
Swing and a miss from the catcher Perry. 1 for 2, singled the last time he was up. He's also struck out in this game. But I got to talk to Coach Winterburn about the home runs, and he said, you know, normally we don't hit a lot of home runs, but that's just because our ballpark's just not that big. Our ballpark's just big. Come to the road in a ballpark that's just not that big, a lot smaller, the power usually shows up, and he said it did in those first 3 games.
And You know, this is certainly a hitter-friendly ballpark. You talked about conversations with pitching coach Dave Smith, his experience here as a player, and his now knowledge of when balls are likely to get out of here right off the bat. It's been windy
That's
here.
Strike three. You're right, that wind definitely carries the ball out. Dave's had a few rough experiences, he said, with that. Brings up Givens to the plate. Nobody on, 2 outs. Takes ball 1 inside.
It's a really good spot right there. Trying to hammer in on the hands of Givens, who's arguably been the second most impressive hitter for this Verne offense, this regional.
Soft grounder, but it rolls foul. 1-1. Close pitch, 2-1.
You know, in this at-bat, Cole, Tier is going to eclipse the 110 pitch mark on the day.
2-2.
He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's held up his end of the bargain.
There is action in the Trinity bullpen, and there has been for the majority of this inning. That's strike 3, breaking ball bends back into the zone. Tears through 7 scoreless frames as we head to the 8th in San Antonio. An elimination game for Trinity. Top of the 8th in San Antonio, the 9-hole hitter Maddox McDonald set to lead things off. And while we were in break, there was a team huddle from Trinity. Coach Scannell gathering his batters around. Still scoreless. They've left some guys stranded, trying to change the approach. Strike 1.
And it's a 9-hole hitter. McDonald back up to the plate for that first offering down there at third base. Aiden Salcedo walked even to the bag, kind of continued to creep up just in case we'll see a bunt. Didn't look like McDonald was squaring around.
Takes the ball low.
Now, we just talked about Jackson Tier and his pitch count on the day, but equally important to mention on this side of things.
McDonald ropes one to right field, and the catch is made. Good play by Logan Reese, patrolling that area. Hauls it in for out number 1.
Yeah, and that is a big-time out. Maddox McDonald runs well. As a 9-hole hitter, would have signaled the lineup being turned over to Caleb Woodward, who steps in now. Wind was, for a moment, blowing from right field to left field. Maybe that holds it up for him a little bit out there. But again, this defense particularly Reese, who's certainly had his name called more frequently in the last 2 games, has been very good out there. He ranges over and quickly takes out what could have been a big-time leadoff base runner.
Terry now works against Caleb Woodward. Slapped foul, 1-1. From what we can see, it doesn't look like there's any action in the Verne bullpen. Our view's partially blocked.
Yeah, at that point I was in the middle of making when McDonald lined out to right field, is that Gerald Terry for Verne is also approaching that 110 pitch mark. I think he has eclipsed it, excuse me, in this at bat. Shorter arm action, maybe a little bit more sustainable for him out there. Both of these guys have been absolutely stellar.
Still only 2 hits for the Tigers on the day. 1-2 pitch. Fouled off. Woodward stays alive off the end of his bat.
Yeah, and he does a nice job right there, recognizing something that looked to be on the outside part of the plate. The hands drift away just a little bit, but he gets barrel on baseball, fouls it back, stays alive for another pitch.
Maybe some disagreement on what pitch to throw. Now they agree. In the dirt, 2-2.
You know, I think that had to have been a breaking ball, a curveball or slider, more than likely, whatever Terry's been throwing today. Because it looked like that one was right on line to hit Woodward, but given that spin, it hits the ground and it changes direction. And luckily for Verne, avoids that base runner.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. A big hack from Woodward, but he'll head back to the dugout with out number 2.
Man, what a spot right there. Imagine that's what Gerald Terry was just trying to do on the pitch he spiked. That is a real nasty breaking ball that starts, looks like middle bottom portion of the plate, and then winds up right at the back foot of the left-handed hitter.
Brings up Jack Baker, one of only 2 Tigers with a hit today. Ahead of that, pushes it foul, 0-1.
And trying to get that foot down early, get out in front of something. Still a 0-0 ball game. It's a Trinity lineup that has a lot of pop, trying to pull something to his strong side.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. Talked about the home run deficit. Verne having 5 in this series already. This being the first game they haven't hit one so far. Trinity only 1. It came off the bat of Colt Harris to cut the deficit to 10 from 12-0. 0-2 pitch. Sprayed foul. Baker stays alive.
Baker clearly eager to hit in this at bat. That's at least how things started off. Quickly now behind 0-2, but fights. Gets his foot down there, watches that one deep. Fastball, he's just a little behind on, but he's still trying to go the other way.
Outside edge. Verne dugouts wanted the call, but they don't get it. It's 2-2.
Yeah, really good pitch right there from Gerald Terry. Paints that one what looked to be right on the inside line of that left-handed batter box, so certainly off the plate, but a very competitive miss.
High 3-2. Baker battles back. 2 down in the inning. A full count coming up. The catcher, Nick Lazaro, waits on deck. Fouled over the screen, and we'll do it again.
This is a good fight by Baker. Looks like perhaps Terry was trying to set something up. Top portion of that zone, breaking ball that just misses up. Then he goes with a fastball trying to speed Baker up. Baker again showing some fight.
Fouled back into the screen, and this at-bat continues.
Something we've seen out of Jack Baker at times this year. Willingness to fight in at-bats. He does not give up. I've seen him reach double-digit plate appearances before, or see double-digit offerings in plate appearances, I should say.
Still a 2-2 count. Just off the end of the bat, and we'll do it again. Correct me if I'm wrong, partner, but I believe that was pitch number 9.
Yeah, it's running up there right now. Baker's doing a nice job, but on the other side, credit Terry, not getting frustrated, continuing to throw his pitch, trying to hit his spots, not letting anything leak over the heart of the plate. Remains at 2-2. He has something to waste if he wants to.
Doesn't anymore, 3-2.
And again, he's tried in this at-bat to set something up at the top portion of the plate. Fastball right there. It's up in a good spot, but a little too far inside on the hands of Baker, who lays off.
The 3-2. High, ball 4, he loses him. The third trip to first base for Jack Baker, and it brings up Nick Lazara. And now a meeting, and what looks like it will be a change. That should be the day for Gerald Terry. He goes 7.2 in this one, allows a final base runner. No motion yet. First base umpire seeing what's going on. And the more and more this chat lingers on, the more and more we'll begin to think that it is just a chat and not a change.
Yeah, I am intrigued by this. We got a text from our dugout, Reed Rosales, research correspondent, saying it's just a chat. It was definitely a lengthier one, and it looks like the first base umpire checked in at some point. He wrote something down in his little journal. It was far before the home plate umpire ventured out there to break things up. Verne does have movement in their bullpen. But again, Terry's been really good. Still a runner just on first base, but we'll have to monitor. We've seen Jack Baker move already in this game. Huge spot here. Extra 90 feet in scoring position would be huge.
So they will leave their starter in to face Nick Lazara. He's had success against him already. 2 strikeouts, reached on an error as well. Takes a pitch away.
And certainly has had success with that backdoor breaking ball to start Lazara off. Tries to do the same thing there. Doesn't get the same break. It stays in the other batter's box, and Lazara now operates ahead 1-0.
Make it 2-0.
And 2 pitches out of the zone to a very dangerous hitter. I don't know how much more time you mess around with Nick Lazara. Might see another trip soon to buy some more time for the arm in the bullpen.
Well over that 110 pitch mark we said he was at before. Breaking ball in for strike 1. Some appeals from the Tiger dugout, but per usual, they will not be heard.
Yeah, a real slow breaker that time. And given that, you imagine a little loopier of an offering. Lazara was content taking that, but he did turn back and have a little bit of a conversation with the home plate umpire.
3-1. Think about the fight that Jack Baker showed in his at-bat. 2 down, falling behind in the count pretty quickly, stayed in and worked a walk, giving the heart of the order a chance. Lazara now ahead 3-1. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks allowed by Terry. And we'll see how much more leash he has.
Got another text from our dugout. Reed Rosales, who's manning the camera and giving us some updates, has a much better view on that Laverne bullpen. He also told us that Laverne pitcher who is up very recently got up. So unless we see another trip soon, I'm not sure how close he might be to entering this ball game.
He stays in to face Christian Holloway. Strike one. Holloway, 2 strikeouts in his first 2 at-bats, lined out to right the last time he was up. 0 for 3 on the day.
Worth mentioning, Baker out there is taking a base, has really good speed with 2 outs on the board. He should score fairly easily.
Grounded to first. Has to run to the bag. It's a race. Holloway's safe, and the bases are loaded.
Yeah, and this is a real tough play right here. Gerald Terry is deep into this ball game, and he doesn't get over to cover. I see him just watching this one. I don't know if it's a mental mistake. He realizes and starts to jog at the last second. Certainly tiring in this ball game, but you see Garcia picking him up a little bit right there, gives him a pat on the chest and on the bat, says, hey, it's okay, let's go get this next out. Jack Baker staying at third base is another aspect of this thing. Garcia opting not to go for the foot race, and Baker not trying to challenge at the plate.
It brings up Colt Harris. Harris to short. The short way, they get out of it again. A bases loaded jam escaped by Gerald Terry. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Still no score in Game 4. Bottom of the 8th in San Antonio, still 0-0. And a new pitcher on the mound for the Tigers. Jackson Teer's day is done. He allowed no runs through 7, and Will Hellings takes over his first appearance in this regional. See the numbers on your screen for Will Hellings as he faces Aiden Salcedo, who takes ball 1.
And he starts off against the 8 and 9 hitters in this Laverne order. Pretty important outs, considering how well the top portion of this lineup has swung it so far this weekend, especially today. Benny Vogel has been very good in that 1 hole.
Hellings making his 18th appearance of the year, comes in with a record of 2-1, ERA of 2.86. Pitched in all 3 games of the SCAC tournament, making his first appearance of this regional. Fires in strike 1. So he pitched 3 times in 3 days, and I think we expected much of the same from him when this regional began, but the score line never lined up. Each game in this regional decided by 9 runs. Grounder right to Hellings. He makes the play. Out number 1.
There's a little swagger right there for sure. And I mean, this is another one where if the pitcher doesn't have something to say about it, ball might be through. At the very least, it makes it a really tough play for Baker in the middle, but Hellings, 6'5" righty coming in out of the bullpen, he's ready for that hot shot back at him.
Brings up the 9-hole hitter, Anthony Salcedo. He takes ball 1. Strike 1, I should say. Salcedo 0 for 2 today. He's grounded out both times. Once to first base and once to Jackson Tier. Strike 2.
You know, this is the thing that probably would surprise most people about Will Hellings. Big 6'5" righty out of the pin, throws real hard. Great velo on the fastball. That breaking ball right there might be his best pitch.
Just gets a piece of it to stay alive.
It's a good fight right there by Anthony Salcedo. Big spot in this game. Bottom 8. The way both teams have swung it so far. If Verne can scratch a run here, might be the last time they have to swing it.
Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. Lazara throws to first in time. That's out number 2.
Talked about Lazara from a blocking perspective today, and it remains the case right there. And something we've seen out of him all season, all weekend long, is his cannon of an arm. He's so sure-handed. Really no worries at all when he has to throw down to first. Puts it on a rope right there to Christian Holloway. Gives himself a fist bump after the fact. Does a real nice job defensively behind the plate.
Hellings now working against Benny Vogel, the leadoff man. Vogel recorded a base hit the last time he was up. He's 1 for 3 today. Just low, 2-0.
Another 2-0 count. What Tier did so well, and what Hellings really needs to continue to do, is keep the ball down in the strike zone, even a 2-0 count.
Misses there, 3-0.
Saw Vogel make Jack Breezy pay to lead off game number 3 yesterday. Talking about the way this ballpark plays, right field, probably where you want to send it out of the ballpark. Vogel clearly capable of turning on something, keeping it down, forcing him to really go down and get it if he wants to send it out of here. Imperative.
Driven off the glove of Hellings. And a base hit for Vogel, 1 aboard in the bottom of the 8th.
Gosh, and that one was loud. I saw Hellings kind of just throw everything up in the air. We'll see a good replay of it right here. It's his bare hand, not the glove. I don't blame you for saying the glove live, given the sound that it made here on the field. I don't know if the coaching staff is aware of that or not. Usually you anticipate that the umpires, anyone would go out there and check on him. I don't think anyone has realized that that's hit him in the hand, especially considering the fact that he's just continuing to go as if nothing happened.
Fires strike 1. We'll continue to monitor if he's okay or not as he faces the shortstop Vasika. So for 2 today, struck out the last time he was up. Lined to right. Runner holds at second. It's first and second with 2 down.
And Hellings was maybe a little lucky to get the out number 1 here, but he got outs 1 and 2 pretty quick. Now back-to-back hard-hit baseballs, 2 barreled baseballs for the Verne team that hasn't had that all day long. Now 2 outs, they also have a runner in scoring position.
Pitching coach Dave Smith will come out and talk to his closer. It's the way Hellings has traditionally been used the majority of the year. There was a big question who would step into that role. Will Hellings was most certainly the answer to that question. Multiple saves on his season, totaling 11 on the year. Mentioned it throughout the broadcasts this weekend. Jack Martinez Off to Louisiana Lafayette. Harrison Dureau, now a professional baseball player. Big gap left in the back end of that Tiger bullpen, and Will Hellings has filled it largely with Jonathan Newman, who we also had not seen to the regional to this point. Big situation for him here. Ball one low to Matthew Diaz. Diaz 0 for 2, hit by a pitch the last time he was up. Trying to give Laverne the lead in the first runs of this game. Hit in the air to right. McDonald makes the catch, and Hellings gets out of it. We're headed to the 9th in a tie game in NCAA playoff baseball. What gets better than this? Welcome back to the top of the 9th inning, tied at 0. Alex Monson set to lead things off for Trinity in a game which they lose. They will be eliminated from this tournament. Laverne wins. They're moving on to the Super Regional. Laverne out hitting Trinity 4-3, and it's Gerald Terry still on the mound for Laverne. Luke, what do you make of this?
Well, we kind of hinted at it earlier. Talked about this arm action. It's shorter. I think when you get guys like that, you can get them in situations where they throw really elevated pitch counts. And that was pitch number 139. That's 140 right there. Both of them come across the plate low. Saw it in the last half inning. Certainly some fatigue. He didn't get over to cover first. I think it's a mental game more than anything. As a 6th-year senior, talked about it in the open, it was a long time ago, but he's from Laverne, hometown guy. His coaching staff is giving him this game. Again, they don't have their backs up against the wall. Really want to take advantage and get the win, not have to go to a winner-takes-all game 5. But man, what a performance one way or another.
Finds himself in a 3-0 hole to Alex Monson. Ball 4, and a good start for Trinity.
The other aspect of it is he might have had just a very short leash as Coach Winterburn is headed out there. And we'll see.
Makes the point, and that'll be the day for Gerald Terry, and what a day it was. Pitches into the 9th inning, over 140 pitches thrown. He gets an ovation from this Laverne crowd that's made the trip from California. Pitching change when we come back on Tiger Network. New pitcher into the game for Verne. It's Austin Klopfenstein. Klopfenstein in for Gerald Terry, who pitched into the 9th inning, but comes into a situation where the leading run is on. Tinker squares up to bunt, pulls it back for strike one. You see Klopfenstein's stats on your screen. Comes in with a 4-1 record. ERA of 4, 27 innings pitched, 36 strikeouts, 19 walks. Good numbers for the reliever.
Yeah, and he is their reliever. He's the guy out of the pen. 20 appearances on the season.
Runner goes, throw to second. In time, and they got him. The leadoff walk erased.
Yeah, and there's some stairs around this diamond right now. We'll see the jump. It's Jared Phillips into the game for Trinity, pinch runner. Tag comes down on the feet, and can't tell exactly from that first angle if that hand was in there, but Trinity doesn't look like they'll challenge.
Electing not to challenge.
And
All
it
of a
looks
sudden,
like
one down, nobody on for Tinker.
pretty good call right there, even though it's Aiden Salcedo in the frame blocking the bag when the tag is applied. Once he exits, it looked like Jared Phillips still had a little bit to go. That was a pitch that was way up above the zone. Tinker had squared to bunt.
Popped up, sky high. Salcedo makes the call. Basica makes the catch from short, and there's 2 down in the 9th.
And you have to imagine, Cole, in that situation, the call that was relayed in was more than likely a sac bunt. Kai Tinker probably electing to pull that bat back, considering how high it was above the plate. Man, what a throw from Nathan Perry behind home plate. This one brought him out of that stance real quickly, had to jump up to get it. Fired that one down right where it needed to be, and maybe a better tag applied. Had to come off the bag a little bit, but just dropped it straight down onto the legs of Jared Phillips.
Brings up Jack Peterson. 2 outs, nobody on. Takes the ball low, and it's 2-0. Peterson today, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts.
He's a guy that can change the complexion of this game in a hurry. Flags are flying out directly to center field.
3-0.
I saw him in a 2-0 count earlier where he originally looked like he would bunt, eventually swing away, and then strike out looking. Got a green light there. He's veteran. He has pop. We'll see if it's the same case, 3-0.
Low, and it's a 4-pitch walk. Not the guy you want to let on base. And it brings up Maddox McDonald.
I mean, considering the context of what we just saw, and I think there was actually a defensive replacement behind home plate, the substitution that's regularly been made. Matt Rice is in there. Apologize to those at home. Fooled you for a minute. Got that chest protector on. It, you know, kind of deceives, hides that number a little bit, but it looks more like sticks than the number 5.
Strike 1 to McDonald. Maddox McDonald has struck out in this game, lined out to right the last time he was up. Hit hard but foul, 0-2.
Man, this is a real tough adjustment to make. Another righty, Klopfenstein out there on the mound for these Verne Leopards. Looks like he has an inch or two on Gerald Terry, and he has a much longer release and a much longer, lankier frame.
Inside, McDonald limbos out of that one. And now settles back into a 1-2 count.
Looked like that one very nearly got him. I frankly don't know how it didn't. Impressive limbo job. Those cleats got stuck in the ground. He just folded in half backwards.
Way high, takes a bounce off the backstop, throw to second, not in time. Peterson slides in safely. Go ahead run on second.
Klopfenstein loses that one badly. Imagine that was a curveball that he just didn't get a grip on. It's been hot in San Antonio all weekend. I've seen some warm-up pitches go awry for all of the pitchers in this game. That one nearly backfired for Trinity after they, got the benefit of the doubt with the backstop bouncing back and aiding them in some defensive plays.
The 2-2. Popped up. The catch made by Salcedo ends the inning. Bottom of the ninth, Verne, a chance to walk off into the Super Regional when we come back. Bottom of the ninth in San Antonio, and Logan Reese will get the first chance to walk it off into the Super Regional against the pitcher Will Hellings. First pitch misses from Hellings, a breaking ball in the dirt. Hellings' last appearance came against Centenary in the conference title game. Was walked off in the bottom of the ninth in that game, but that came off 2 consecutive days throwing. Pitch misses inside. It's 2-0.
It's a real good spot from Hellings right there. Unfortunately for him, just doesn't get the call in on the hands of Reese.
Gets the call there. 2-1.
Hard to tell as Reese looks back. Not sure which of those was the better spot, as Zara clearly pulling that one back up towards the zone.
Close pitch, misses low.
That one seems to finish in a real similar spot. Considering the movement on it, where it crosses the plate, it's real close to catching that corner.
Ball 4, not what you want. A lead-off walk from Will Hellings.
Lead-off walk and a lanky outfielder who's played well defensively. I don't think you run the risk of pulling him from the game, but not sure if there's a defensive or a running replacement that might better serve you on the base paths.
All Verne needs is a run in this inning, and they could potentially host a Super Regional. Last we checked, Case Western losing in their regional. So it's entirely possible that the Leos are back in California next weekend with the best-of-3 series on their plate.
Yeah, and right now it looks like that might be the outcome for the winner of this regional.
Gets the bunt down, but foul. It's 1-1.
Up at Case Western Reserve. Case Western lost yesterday to Lynchburg, won back in game 1, elimination game for Case Western. They currently trail in the late innings. I think it's the top of the 9th. Case Western's last chance down 5-4.
And that gets them. The first 2 reach on Hellings with nobody out.
And that's really worst case scenario. Verne gets that runner into scoring position. No outs on the board for Trinity. Still really in the heart of this lineup.
A walk and a hit by pitch and back-to-back at-bats. And it brings up Nathan Perry with quite the opportunity. Correct myself, that's actually Matt Rice. He was a defensive substitution, comes in with a big spot. Squares up to bunt. Away, ball one.
And if you're this defense, you have to be charging hard. You know he's going to square. If you're Helens, you have to put something in the zone. All the way at first, has to be cognizant. Anything to him, you got to try and get it to third to get that lead runner if possible.
2-0.
The task starts with putting something in the zone. Right now, Helens has not been able to do so against these last two batters.
And time called. Lazara's going to have a chat with his pitcher. Probably a good meeting given the situation. 1 run and Trinity's season is done.
Yeah, and with someone up and warming in the Trinity bullpen, the length of that walk and the number of glances that Lazar has taken out to the pen, this might be Trinity just buying some time.
You would assume that's Jonathan Newman warming in the bullpen, another one of these high leverage relievers that we have not seen. Now Dave Smith's going to come out, and that will further prolong this meeting.
Something that we didn't touch on very extensively because it kind of exited the equation. In the last half inning, Will Helens took that hot shot line drive off of his pitching hand. A lot of adrenaline pumping as he first came in out of the pen, but right now he's struggling with command a little bit.
And they will stick with Will Helens on the pen. From the pen on the mound. Helens, the right-hander from Summit, New Jersey. In his first year with the Tigers, transferred from Odessa College. Trying to give them another inning of life. Bunt gets down, but foul, and it's 2-1.
That's the right idea from Rice right there. Can't keep it fair, but has to put it down this third baseline. As we mentioned, Holloway's going to charge hard from his spot at first, trying to keep that lead runner off the bag at third and keep the double play ball in play in the infield.
Bunt down again, but foul, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, this really changes the complexion of things. 2 strike counts. We've seen Verne continue to square around. Imagine that's the case. Both of these, he really tried to hug the line. Don't need to be that aggressive. You have a lot of the left side of the field. So long as it's really to the left of the pitcher's mound anywhere, you get your job done well.
This is a good bunt. Helens goes for the lead runner. They got him at third, not in time at first, but they get the lead runner at third, 1 down in the inning. A good aggressive play by Will Helens.
Yeah, and this is really the only outcome you can afford if you're Helens on the mound. It's a great job to jump off quickly and to just know you have to go to third. This one's right back at him. Just talked about it. Rice has a lot of the field on the left side to work with. He wastes the first 2 opportunities. And he gets the bunt down, but unfortunately he puts it right back to the pitcher.
And now a pinch hitter in the game for Verne. It's Malachi Francois. Started game 1 in the leadoff position, went 0 for 3, was pinch hit. And he's made a few pinch hit appearances since then. First pitch away.
You know, if you're Helens on the mound, you have to imagine that's confidence instilling. Now 1 out on the board, runners first and second, double play ball gets you out of this inning.
Strike 1.
Real good delivery right there. Don't want to go down 2-0 again. Just a nice get-me-over pitch. Talked about that breaking ball. It's really good for someone that throws as hard as he does.
Fouled off into the screen. It's 1-2. Think about how huge a strikeout would be for Will Helens.
Yeah, 2 strikes on Francois now. Opportunity that you can't let slip away. Have to get an out here have to force him to put the barrel on the baseball. Nothing over the heart of the plate. Back to that breaking ball.
There's strike 3. Francois goes down looking, 2 outs on the board.
And it's not the breaking ball. You have to imagine that's what Francois expected. He sat back, and once he recognized his fastball, there's no chance that he's catching up to this one on the inside portion of the plate. But now things change. 2 outs. Runners are going to move on contact. If this is a ball to the outfield, you have to be going home. You have to get to it quickly.
Now Aiden Salcedo, a sophomore with probably the opportunity of his career. Finds himself in a 1-0 count. Runners on first and second, 2 down in the inning. The first 2 reached on Will Hellings, a walk and a hit by pitch. He's recorded the next 2 outs. Away, and it's 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0 count and hitters count. Has to be careful right here. This outfield's playing so that nothing's going to get down, no doubles down the line. This infield also has to be cognizant. There's a base hit that they run out. If the ball gets bobbled, if it's put deep in a hole, maybe you eat it, hold it, because that runner could round third hard.
Lined to center. Peterson makes the catch. Hellings out of the jam. Extra baseball in Game 4. Austin Klopfenstein back on the mound for the top of the 10th as we're in extra innings in Game 4. The lineup flips over for Trinity. It's Caleb Woodward to lead things off. He's 0 for 4 today, still hitting .311 on the year. OPS over 800. Pitch up, ball 1. Reminder that this is not Major League Baseball. There is no ghost runner in extra innings. You have to manufacture a run the old-fashioned way. Each team trying to get their first of the game. Strike 1.
And the good spot right there from Klopfenstein. Misses up and away. That first delivery. Doesn't want to fall behind 2-0.
Just misses. 2-1. A good eye from Woodward.
Yeah, very nearly the exact same spot right there. That's where you want to live in this ball game and in this ballpark. One run might be enough to end it. Don't let anything leak up over the heart of the plate. Nothing up in the zone.
A lot on that baseball, but drifting foul. 2-2.
probably the best cut that we've seen Caleb Woodward take all day. He's put a couple balls in play. First two grounders over to second base, handled cleanly. Next one sent to Garcia at first. So everything's been to the right side. Trying to shorten up now, tried to drive that the other way.
Woodward steps out. Now back in for the 2-2. And the bluff throw. Time violation.
No designation as to who it's on. Woodward is in the batter's box still. I think, given the fact that call came from the third plate umpire, has to be on the pitcher.
Based on the fact that it was the Verne dugout that seemed to have an objection, that seems to be the case. Now a 3-2 count. Ball 4. Leadoff runner aboard for Trinity.
Man, what a break for this Trinity offense. That's something that it's new this year, and it's hard to deal with because ballparks in general and ballparks at this level aren't equipped with a visible pitch clock. I know that it was present during the SCAC tournament. It was played at an independent league ballpark in Cleburne, Texas. So those major leaguers have to adhere to that rule. But it's an internal clock for the pitchers here at this level. Unfortunately, it bites Verne right there.
Bunt popped up. And possibly the worst case scenario on that. Jack Baker frustrated with himself, and he's been so good all game. At times, the only pulse this team has had offensively in this game. Just can't get the bunt down there.
I saw it in the last half inning, Kai Tinker pulling one back on a pitch that was probably above his head. Can't blame him too much for that. This one almost finds the gap between pitcher and third baseman.
Brings up Nick Lazara. Pitch away, ball 1. You wonder at what point with a righty on the mound will they send Woodward. You expect it's going to happen at some point with 1 out.
Yeah, sooner rather than later, especially considering they just tried to move him over. That failed and backfired.
Inside 2-0.
It changes a little bit the more you wait and watch an at-bat, right? Now that you're ahead 2-0 in this one, do you risk running into the second out on the base paths? Probably not. Watch this pitch, see what the outcome is. If it moves to 3-0, let Lazara work, considering how good he is at that job.
Popped up, foul. 2-1.
It looked like Woodward was at least starting to move. I don't know if it was a bluff, but there was certainly some movement as he took off away from first base on that offering.
Lazara 0 for 3 today. He struck out twice, reached on an error, and he's also walked. Only 3 hits for the Tigers in this entire game. Runner goes, fouled off, 2-2. So Woodward will have to make his way the 90 feet back.
Yeah, good approach from Lazara right there. 2 strikes on him now, trying to go the opposite direction. Well, the unfortunate thing is, lefty at the plate, opposite direction means putting something into left field and likely keeping the baseball in front of Woodward. Even though he's going on that, hard to move first to third if a ball in play is at the left fielder.
Fouls off. And Lazara stays alive on a pitch inside.
Good job just fighting that one off. And a good relocation from Klopfenstein right there. Goes in on the hands for Lazara, who's trying to shorten up, trying to see things deep. Just barely stayed alive by catching a piece of it.
Woodward goes. Grounder. They get the out at first, but the runner advances.
And it's a small victory for this Trinity team. Runner in scoring position. Just one more opportunity in this inning to drive him in.
Woodward waits at second. Christian Holloway up to the plate. One of the many seniors in this lineup. Holloway singled the last time he was up. He's also struck out twice. Fouled back 0-1. It was a game against UT Dallas when Holloway had the only RBI and a 1-0 win. A Friday night, Joseph Shavana and Will Hellings combined for the shutout. Holloway trying to write a similar script here. Inside 1-1.
Two really good spots right there. First one, fastball down and away. Holloway was trying to jump on something. It was a little too far off the middle of the plate. Just sent it foul. Comes back, breaking ball in on the hands. Holloway watches it and doesn't quite catch the zone.
Fouled off into the screen, 1-2. Looked like he reached out to get that one.
Yeah, fighting to stay alive. Trying to send something to right field. But again, Logan Reese has been stellar out there, ranging in his spot.
Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. Klopfenstein leaves Woodward stranded at second, and we're still tied at 0. Another chance for Laverne to walk it off when we come back. Bottom of the 10th in a tie game. Will Hellings back on the mound for the Tigers to face Anthony Salcedo. Hellings in his 3rd inning of work in relief. We've seen him throw as many as 80 pitches this year, so we know he's got a few innings left in him. Fire strike 1. Jonathan Newman is in the pen if Hellings gets into any trouble, presumably, but if the Tigers have it their way, Hellings will take them the rest of the way. Strike 2.
Cole, we're trying to keep the focus on this game as much as possible because it's been stellar and everything we could have asked for. But one last update in that Case Western Regional tie game, 5-5. Case Western was able to come back in the 9th. The home team, Lynchburg, walked it off in the bottom of that inning.
Ground ball spinning away from Baker, no play. You could see the spin that took off the turf and off the bat right out of Baker's hand, and a leadoff runner for Laverne.
Baker doing everything he can in that spot right there. Charges in hard, and I think he's charging where he thinks this ball is going to stay, but because of that spin, it starts moving back to where he started. It's just a tough spot, and that spin puts it on his bare hand. Might have had a chance if he had read the spin originally to come through it with his glove.
Throw back to first, not in time to get the lead runner. But this turf normally produces pretty predictable hops. Not in that situation. The spin off the bat. Baker couldn't read it. Vogel squares up to bunt again. Tapped foul, 0-2.
And we'll see again. Last half inning, it was Rice at the plate with 2 strikes on him. Was still tasked with bunting. He got the job done of getting it down, but didn't get the job done of moving runners over. We'll see if Vogel is asked to square around here.
Pitch away, 1-2. Didn't square up to bunt there.
And you imagine it's entirely off the board. If he was going to square up and bunt, he would have done it early to establish that barrel out in front of his body.
Driven to left. It falls. It'll be a ground rule double into the Trinity bullpen, so that keeps the Tigers alive from now. They're only allowed to go station to station. Runner stops at third as he was at first base. And Trinity fortunate.
Yeah, 2-strike count right here. Not a bad delivery. Looked like another breaking ball that Vogel sits back on, understanding a 2-strike count. He has to fight it off. It's what he does, and this one fades. A little wind aided as well, blowing from right field to left field. Well, Caleb Woodward did everything he could. He dove, and well, that's not usually what you want to see on balls down the line, considering you don't have any backup. Doesn't backfire, considering it bounced into that Trinity bullpen.
So the first two runners reach in consecutive innings for Verne. Now a team meeting right by the first baseline. Coach Winterburn probably trying to go over how they can get to the super, walking it off. It'll be Vasika due up next.
Let's see, while this meeting happens for Verne, Coach Dave Smith will also come out. Calls the infield in as he has Jonathan Newman up and warming again in that Trinity bullpen.
We'll see if they give Hellings one more crack at this to get out of it. Runners at second and third, nobody out. Hellings has been the Tigers guy all year. We referenced it earlier, 11 saves on the season. Trying to come up with one more act of magic. And now Dave Smith makes the point, and that will do it for Will Hellings. Comes out of this game with runners on second and third. Verne can walk it off, but it'll have to be against Jonathan Newman when we come back. Bottom of the 10th in San Antonio, pitching change. It's Jonathan Newman on the mound for the Tigers. Comes in with an ERA below 1. It's .5. Record of 5-0 over 36 innings pitched, 35 strikeouts to 18 walks. But that's not what we've come back early to talk about. It's going to be the Trinity alignment that we're seeing. They have 5 players in the infield, only 2 in the outfield. Luke, what do you make of this?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Anything on the ground that gets through, that runner from third scores rather easily, right? You keep it in the air. Obviously, you would like one more man out there in the outfield, but with two, I think you feel good about their ability to get to anything in front of them.
First pitch from Newman misses for ball one. You see Peterson really crouched in on that first base line. Looks like they're ready for a bunt from Vasica.
Yeah, it's a possibility. A suicide squeeze, but with no outs on the board. Also an opportunity to just swing away.
Vasica takes strike one from Newman. Another high-end reliever, first team all SCAC. Bunt gets down.
That hit him.
They throw home. And are they going to call that a hit by pitch?
No, it was off his bat, but he bunted it, and I think straight down off of his front foot. That's why it took that roll out to Newman on the mound.
Vasica not going anywhere. No call of out has been made. See the replay.
Yeah, and he wasn't on home plate when it made contact with him or when he made contact with the baseball putting it down.
Either way, life for Trinity. It looked like a run would have scored there. Ground ball through, and Laverne has walked it off into the Super Regional.
And they'll mob out in the outfield, and they deserve to. A tremendous performance from these Leopards across the last 3 days. I don't know if it's a fitting way to end it or not, but a 1-0 final score here in Game 4 as the Leopards clinch.
Vasica the hero, as the Leos will be playing in the second round, potentially hosting Lynchburg in Laverne, California. Elation on one side, on the other side, heartbreak. Multiple Trinity Tigers crouched down in disbelief. Many seniors with their careers over, and many seniors on the other side, their careers continuing at least one more week.
I mean, kind of just speechless at this point in time. It's the most excitement we've had all day. It's the biggest aspect of it. Real quiet baseball game. And look up at that scoreboard. 10 innings, a lot of zeros up there. A 1 in the place where it matters most. Bottom 10th, Laverne walks it off. I mean, celebrations on both sides, but celebrations of a different kind. Laverne happy to be moving through. You know, a lot of embraces for these Trinity Tigers, a lot of seniors that just played their very last baseball ever.
The Leos off to the next round, and you hear the cheers from them on the first base side. And what a win it was for them, a gutsy effort. Had to be different from all the other games they played. 1-0, who would have thought after all the runs that we had in the previous 3 games, they find a way to do it.
And it was a chess match today. Both of these teams, from an offensive perspective, did everything they could to figure out the opposition. It was a pitching duel, and it was pretty glorious, if I do say so myself. Jackson Tier came back, got his second start of the regional, pitched 6 innings of shutout baseball, held up his end of the bargain. And he was being matched on the other side by Gerald Terry, who was equally as impressive, had doubts about his ability to go. Not only did he go, but he was phenomenal.
Trinity elects to go with the 5-man infield to end the game. A ball that definitely would have gotten through without the 5-man infield, had a chance because of it between Holloway and Peterson.
Yeah, it was a bouncer on the right side. It was going to be a tough play either way. I don't know if they would have had anything at the plate, because I'm not sure if that runner broke or froze for a second to see if it was going to be fielded and that ball was going to come home for a tag play. But even that, another instance where this Trinity team did everything they could. At the end of the day, just a little bit outmatched. Laverne with a gentleman's sweep, fall in game 1, and then come back to take 3 in a row. And with that result at Case Western, the home team, the host site falling. Lynchburg, the reigning national champs, move through. The thought is that it's very likely now Verne, after going on the road in regional weekend 1, could have the opportunity to host the Supers next weekend.
It's an upset, if you want to call it that. Number 14 team in the country beats the number 13 team 3-1. That's it for us in San Antonio. I'd like to thank everybody who came down to help out with this regional coverage. And of course, my partner Luke Terry up here under the tent in the heat with me. For everyone here in San Antonio, I'm Cole Isaacson saying so long from One Trinity Place. We'll see you again next season.